Welcome everybody to our webinar today on global expansion, how to grow your business service internationally. This webinar is brought to you by Magnet Export Business Portal and the Government of Ontario, and it's a great opportunity to learn how to export your products or services. Today we've got a few presenters, really interesting presenters. We've got Carissa Quiroz, and I'll tell you a little bit about her. We've got Lisa Stockley, Susan Backer, Jonathan Burns, and then we've got Devon from the Magnet Export Business Portal. So let me just tell you a little bit about our presenters today. Firstly, my name is Andrew Patricio, and I train and educate business owners, and I love running webinars because they're a great opportunity to learn. Our second presenter is Carissa Quiroz, and let me just tell you a little bit about her. She's a senior trade advisor at Export Development Canada, where she assesses Canadian companies' challenges in working internationally and determines how the EDC can help them. Prior to this job, she was an analyst at EDC's economics team and also worked in the private sector in pharmaceuticals and energy internationally. So lots of experience, which makes it really interesting. Our second presenter is Lisa Stockley. She's the Consul and Trade Commissioner of the Consulate General of Canada in Atlanta. Lisa is responsible for integrated foreign direct investment and innovation, a program at the Consulate General of Canada in Atlanta. Her role includes promoting Canadian commercial economic interests and development of innovative strategies for the identification and implementation of business opportunities in diverse sectors. She works in Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi, and Tennessee. Then we have Susan Backer. She's the president of Bay Communications and Marketing and the vice president of the Organization of Women in International Trade. It's a lot of experience. She's a communications specialist and is an authority on international trade, women's entrepreneurship, and diversity. She writes and speaks regularly. She works with financial institutions, governments, and organizations to help companies go global. Susan, also the regional representative for the Trade Facilitation Office of Canada, which helps exporters from developing countries find buyers in the Canadian market. She's a founder and VP of OWIT Toronto and has served on the international board for over a decade. She has received international awards, including the International Alliance of Women's World of Difference Award, which recognizes the 100 women worldwide for contributing to women's economic empowerment. Then we have Jonathan Burns. So Jonathan is a speaker, facilitator, entrepreneur, digital marketing expert, and Jonathan's core expertise is lead generation. He's an expert at building high return on investment in LinkedIn, Google, and Facebook ad campaigns and using them to generate targeted leads. In addition to Strategy Cube, which is his company, Jonathan launched a virtual bookkeeping service for small businesses last year called Back Office Stars. Then finally, we have Devon Franklin. She's a project manager at Magnet Export. In addition to the Magnet platform and the Magnet Export Business Portal, Devon works directly with businesses and business support organizations to help raise awareness of the numerous opportunities available to Ontario businesses to help them grow and expand internationally. When businesses thrive, we all do, which I agree 100% with, and Devon wants to ensure that businesses have access to resources necessary to grow. So Devon will share with us some of her experience and knowledge about the Magnet Business Portal, and I encourage you all to sign up for that.
So hello everyone. It was great to connect virtually. So my name is Carissa, and I'm a Senior Trade Advisor at Export Development Canada, EDC. I've been a trade advisor for more than 2 years, and I'd say I've spoken with approximately 2,000 Canadian companies of all shapes, all sizes, crossing all industries. So I've heard a wide range of inquiries from these businesses, from companies looking to export for the first time, looking for some market information, to companies who've already exported, looking for our financial support. So the mindset certainly varies amongst the business owners and executives I've spoken with. Some are very aggressive. They want to tackle 20 markets all at once. And others are more targeted in their approach, maybe looking to 1 or 2 markets. In addition, I've heard a lot of inquiries from companies who assume that EDC can support only goods exporters, which is definitely not the case. So if you're about to or are presently doing a transaction for the sale of a product or service with a non-Canadian business, that includes the US, that's something we can certainly explore. So definitely we help services companies. So in the initial discussions with companies that are looking to export for the first time and inquiring about EDC support, I always mention the following first. So key questions that a company should ask itself before they conduct business abroad. So yes, doing business internationally can definitely bring you multiple benefits. So higher sales, a more competitive product, and a diversification and expanding your reach beyond Canada will certainly decrease your vulnerability to market downturns, especially if you're relying just on that one country to sell your solution, to name just a few benefits. That being said, here are things you have to consider. So are you willing to deal with all the new challenges you'll be facing when selling your services abroad? So if you're exporting, let's say, hardware goods to support your service offering, for instance, will you be ready to tackle various customs controls and tariffs? You have to think about the nuances across varying markets, such as local regulations, different technical standards for your product offering to be deemed acceptable in that particular global market. Will you be able to handle longer periods of time without cash flow? Foreign customers, depending on the market, they may require a credit period. They may be more slower in paying you. And you also have to navigate a new economic and political system that may have a more open or closed environment for your business. It varies. And of course, you have to look at the social norms, business etiquette, lifestyle, so living standards, to name a few elements, which may be remarkably different in the new country you're looking to do business in. Now, key points to consider when you're doing business abroad. So let's say now you're 100% committed. So how do you select your target market or markets? Well, certain points that I bring up to companies I speak with are, what is the market demand like for your service offering? Is the demand growing for the services in your industry in that particular country? Or is that market saturated with other competitors? What are market barriers to your solution? Are there, well, as I mentioned earlier, are there significantly high tariffs to the hardware components that support your service offering? And another point, what is the business and political environment like in the countries that you're interested in pursuing? So essentially, what is the ease of doing business in these markets? I know the World Bank has an ease of doing business index that reviews the regulatory environment for businesses across countries worldwide. And so this index, this ranking, looks at factors like registering property, starting a business, getting credit, and provides each of these countries a final score. So that's one measure. That's one tool you can use. EDC also has various resources, country snapshots on its website, which are developed in-house by our economics and political risk team. However, in summary, I always suggest do the following. So one, do your research. Use the data that's available to see what the demand is like for Canadian products and services in your industry. So putting on my analyst cap from my former days as an analyst at EDC, I used to review Canada's export competitiveness in various industries. So I'd often rely on Statistics Canada, particularly those NAICS codes, the industry level codes, as well as UN Comtrade, so those trade stats, to assess Canada's market share of foreign countries' total imports as a way to serve as a proxy for our industry's competitiveness. Second, definitely connect with key government partners to obtain resources and market intel in the potential markets of interest. So the markets you're looking towards, well, such as EDC and the Trade Commissioner Service, TCS, the latter of which Lisa Stockley will get into shortly. And so by connecting with the government resources, government partners available, we'll be able to help you adequately prepare your export plan, tackle these export markets, and succeed in your global transactions. However, one thing I'd like to mention is another great resource, peers in your industry. Speak to other companies who have done business abroad. Learn from their challenges, insights, and successes. So now, in terms of what EDC can do for companies looking to do business outside of Canada, as well as for companies currently working abroad, I would bucket our offerings into two streams. One, we have our non-financial products, which are completely free, by the way. So these services are for companies looking to start exporting. So we recently created a team called the Export Help Group that can answer any trade-related questions for Canadian companies looking to export. So inquiries answered can be very specific, such as, can you explain to me what this U.S. regulation regarding the import of a particular lighting product from Canada, what does it mean? But inquiries can also be more general, such as, I would like to get started in selling my software as a service solution to China. Can I please have all the information, resources available, including key contacts that I should connect with? So, and then the export help group would get back to you within 5 to 7 days with an information package tackling your specific question. In addition, we have the Global Trade Group that provides matchmaking services with foreign buyers to Canadian companies that offer niche solutions with a distinct value proposition. And also the Global Trade Group can provide referrals over to a program that's called the Trade Accelerator Program. We call it TAP for short. And so the TAP is essentially a 4-day workshop where various government partners, including EDC and the Trade Commissioner Service and other stakeholders, provide Canadian companies with exporting advice and contacts. And these workshops, it ends with the company participant having an export plan ready to go. So by having EDC refer your company over to this particular TAP program, the program fee is completely waived. Now, the second stream are our financial products. So this is for companies who are looking to start their first export transaction with a foreign customer or are currently doing business abroad. So let's say you have your first PO with a U.S. client, and the client comes back to you and says, well, I'd like to be given 60-day payment terms. So you would provide your service, and then you'd have 2 months of waiting time before your customer pays you. And you know, sometimes if like the first transaction, major transaction like this, they don't pay you, that could put your company under. So what we do is we can protect that receivable, the amount that your foreign customer owes you, up to 90% of losses against commercial and political risks. So we protect against the risk of non-payment, essentially. So that's one way we can help, so through risk mitigation tools. Secondly, we can help you access additional working capital through a few ways. First, we can work in partnership with your bank, potentially. Let's say you have 2 large orders in China and in the U.S., and you need to increase your operating line by $200,000 at your bank. And your bank says, okay, we're willing to increase by $100K, but you need $200K. So what we can do is we can back that additional financing by up to 75%. So your bank is now more willing to provide you the full $200K because their risk portion in that loan is mitigated to 1/4 because we're taking on the bulk of the risk. So that's one way. Another way is, well, if you have an export PO, so a purchase order, sales contract with a customer abroad, and let's say your bank is not willing to provide financing, perhaps they're at their lending capacity, max lending capacity. So we can potentially help you directly. It has to be tied to that transaction. We would do our due diligence and assess and see if we can help you. And the third venue is, well, this is a new program that was, there was a public press release launched recently, and that is the BDC EDC Working Capital Tech Loan. So if you're a tech company and let's say your assets, they're not necessarily considered hard assets by banks and it's harder for banks to lend on IP, for instance. Well, this working capital loan, that's a joint program offered by us and our sister Crown Corp, the Business Development Bank of Canada, BDC, you could potentially access financing from EDC and BDC for working capital. So just want to quickly highlight that. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to communicate with me, and my coordinates I'm sure will be provided at the end of the webinar. Thank you very much.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this very important panel, and it's a very important topic. I am a trade commissioner. I have been working with the Trade Commissioner Service through my professional career for over 20 years now, and it's all been in the United States. So I have a fairly strong familiarity with the U.S. Landscape, and we are very good partners with EDC and often work in tandem to try to support the efforts of Canadian companies looking to export to the U.S. market. The Trade Commissioner Service has over 120 years of experience, and we're in 160 cities. We're often sadly overlooked as a resource, and so this is a great opportunity for us to highlight the many benefits of connecting with the Trade Commissioner Service when you're looking at your export markets. Trade commissioners are companies that use the Trade Commissioner Service will see more success exporting and than those that don't take advantage of these services, and these services are at no cost to you. So if you are looking at a market no matter where, please go to the tradecommissioner.gc.ca website and look up an office nearest to the market you're trying to go to look for assistance through the Trade Commissioner Service. And so what do we do is the large story, and there's a lot we can do and do just to support the efforts of companies looking to export and also looking to expand internationally from Canada. We find key contacts. We develop relationships and networks with companies and influencers in the cities and regions in which we are established, and we use those networks to support the interests of Canadian companies. And these are across many sectors. Often the consulates located in these different regions will focus very largely on very specific sectors, and you can find a lot of that information on the website. So if you are targeting San Francisco or Atlanta or Mississippi, you can go to the website and see where the key industries are and where the strengths are, and then that can help you narrow down your choices in terms of where are you going to export. I would recommend also contacting our regional offices. We have offices, our counterparts across Canada in all of the cities, and they will help you determine where might be your best export destination. They have a global reach beyond the U.S. They are connected around the world to our 160 offices, and they're the ones that you need to talk to if you have any questions about, well, where should I expand with my service or my product? And they are a very good starting point for that. We can also save you time and money. A lot of times companies think that they might need to be in a market or that their target is perfect, but we're able to tell you exactly when you want to penetrate the market, where are the opportunities, where are the challenges, what might be another market for you to consider based on our experience through the network. And so this can save you time and money and effort in coming to a city that might not be the right place for you. And then we have a vast network of business professionals that you can tap into. There's 160 offices. There's multiple experts that we have at each office across a variety of sectors, and they all talk to each other. And so we often will refer companies, Canadian companies, through our network when we hear of or are aware of opportunities in other markets. And really, one of the strengths of the Trade Commissioner Service is business insight. We're on the ground every day listening to the news, looking for opportunities, sourcing opportunities. It's a two-way street with the Trade Commissioner Service. You don't just look for that opportunity. We might come looking for you. So stay connected with the Trade Commissioner Service.gc.ca. I keep saying that because there's a lot of really good information that's posted on that website, and that will be very useful for you as you start to think about your export destination or some of the stuff that you might need assistance with. And as I said earlier, we find opportunities. Sometimes companies will come to us and say, I need a company that sells boxed water. Can you provide us with a source for boxed water? And so we will take that opportunity and go back to Canada through a variety of networks, and we'll come looking for companies in Canada that can possibly provide that solution for this local contact. And we also resolve business problems. We are your problem solver. We interface with the local community, with the local officials, and we can provide you resources and references to problem solvers in the regions where you are already doing business. So that is our key support. We basically have 4 key services to make it simple. Preparation for international markets. We do this both abroad as your offices around the world globally and in Canada. So again, think about the regional offices, the Trade Commissioner Service offices that are based in Canada as a starting point for a conversation as well. We can tell you about the market and give you an assessment. In some cases, we can say you're spot on, you need to be here tomorrow, there's something happening, this is an opportunity for you. And other times we say that we've seen this before and we know that traction in this market may be somewhat challenging, and here's the challenges and opportunities that we see ahead for you and provide you with on-the-ground information. Again, we identify qualified contacts. We're out there every day talking to businesses, talking to local influencers, and pre-vetting them actually. So when we introduce you to somebody in the field, it's someone we've already talked to. So you're not going on a cold call, you're actually going to talk to a qualified contact. And then we provide commercial problem solving. As we said, as Andrew pointed out earlier, we cover 6 states. In fact, the Consul General of Canada in Atlanta has one of the largest territories: Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. And we develop and maintain a network across all of those states. The opportunities are different in every state, and so we have fact sheets and market intelligence that we can share with you across all of those 6 states to help you identify where those opportunities might be best for you. In Atlanta, we are focused on some pretty key sectors, and how we do this is we look for what the strength is in the territory, and then we go back and try to match that with strength in Canada. So it is a bit strategic in that direction. That isn't to say, however, if you don't fit in this definition anywhere that you see as key sectors, that you could not contact the Trade Commissioner Service and talk about your product or technology and say, hey, you know, I'm a service industry and I have this platform or this innovation, and where can I tap into your market? And we will be able to provide you information on that. For our purposes in our territory, our key sectors are ICT, gaming, AI, cyber tech, cybersecurity, fintech. Those 3 in particular are quite hot in the region right now. Clean tech, aerospace and defense, automotive, ag food on the retail side, creative industries, which is largely in Georgia, and it's film and television. Innovation, which is connecting to centers of excellence and accelerators, and foreign direct investment. We attract foreign direct investment back to Canada. Often Canada is a really good international platform for U.S. companies looking to expand. And so we work with them to help them understand the Canadian business ecosystem and prepare them to establish themselves with a subsidiary usually in Canada. The progressive trade agenda is one thing I wanted to highlight, is a very important part of what the Government of Canada's mandate is, and that is that we cast a progressive lens on all the work that we do. And so there is a focus on the full spectrum of opportunity for every single Canadian, whether it be a minority, Indigenous, Aboriginal, women-led businesses. We make sure that we encompass all Canadian companies in our perspective and in the opportunities that we see and identify in the Southeast. And it's very important to the Government of Canada, and it is for us as well. Here are some of the key events that are coming up. They may or may not fit what your company is doing, but they're ones where we have a large focus, where we're recruiting for companies to come to Canada. If you are in the cyber tech space and cybersecurity space, please do reach out to us. Maddie.cook@international.gc.ca is working very hard in the AI, cybercon, cybersecurity space, and has a lot of wonderful connections and programs that are coming up. The Southern Automotive Conference is a massive conference in the Southeast, and if you are a company looking to take advantage of connecting with the automotive industry, and this can be everything from IT to widgets to parts, you should talk to robert.tate@international.gc.ca. You can always contact me, and I'll be happy to refer you to the right officer in our consulate. And then March through April 2019, the BMW Supplier Diversity Day. This is truly a great opportunity for companies that are in the diversity space, for companies that are women-led or minority-owned or Aboriginal. They have a supply chain in a very sophisticated way of entering the company supply chain. This is a fantastic opportunity to connect with decision makers. So please do contact us if you have any sort of technology or product that would be of interest to BMW, and if you're not sure, please contact us and we'll be able to talk to you a little bit more about that. So that is the high overview of the Trade Commissioner Service. I thank you very much for your time. My contact details are on this slide, and I will be shared with you later as indicated by Andrew. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions. We are there to help you. We are your eyes and ears on the ground. We're interested in your business, and we're interested in supporting you. So please do reach out to us anywhere in the world. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew, and happy summer, everybody. It's terrific to see this session on service businesses because historically everything has been focused on exporting products or goods. So this is really a great initiative. So as you've heard, I have a service-based business in the marketing and communications and international trade spaces, and I've done work outside Canada's borders, primarily for clients in the U.S., the Caribbean, Europe, and Australia. And because of what my company does, I mean, we're content providers and we're market researchers. So our service delivery is via the internet. So, you know, we got involved in international trade through clients who needed writing services outside of Canada. I mean, and you know, the web has really made it possible for many service businesses to go global, both through your marketing and perhaps even through your service delivery too. I mean, you know, the web has really leveled the playing field for small businesses. So you can, you know, suddenly be selling internationally because somebody sees your website and you know, they're ordering your product or want your service. So people will never know if you're working from your basement or Bay Street or if you're, you know, in Canada or elsewhere. From my perspective, because it's the way I built my international business, in order to grow internationally is all about making contacts, and not just contacts, but meaningful relationships with them. So I'd like to share just some ways to develop those contacts and relationships that have worked for me, and hopefully they will work for you as well. So first of all is network. The art of effective networking lies in building relationships that can lead to business down the road. So how do you make those quality contacts and to build those relationships? Well, joining relevant associations, whether that be your industry association or trade organizations, or bilateral chambers of commerce. You know, if you're in a metropolitan area like Toronto, almost every country has a chamber of commerce. And now, a particularly good organization for those of you who are women listening on this webinar, although men are welcome to use this resource too, is the Organization of Women in International Trade, OWIT. It's designed to promote women doing business globally. There's 2 chapters in Canada, one in Toronto, one in Ottawa. Many chapters around the world, but there's also a virtual chapter if you are not in any of these centers. It facilitates women entry and expansion into the global marketplace by providing networking, education, and global business contacts. Another great way to make contacts is by attending international conferences and trade shows. So shortly I'll touch on how to leverage getting the most out of these. But when I travel, another thing I do is I reach out to business associations in other countries. And if they happen to have an event while I'm visiting there, I will attend that. And, you know, I was in Dubai recently and I did that and I made, some excellent contacts that way. Now, while you're doing all of this, you want to build your cross-cultural savvy, and you've heard that from, that it can be a challenge dealing with other cultures. So you want to be aware of differences in culture and become knowledgeable about, how business is done in other countries. So when they see that you've educated yourself, they're really going to respect you. And also think about developing an international profile. As a service business, you likely have expertise in a particular area, so you can leverage that by writing articles for international publications, having a blog, participating in international LinkedIn groups, getting on the speaking circuit for international conferences. So these are all ideal ways to raise your profile and make new contacts. Next, I'd like to turn to participating in trade missions, which are a great way to build those face-to-face contacts. I've participated in trade missions to the U.S., Mexico, Europe, and Australia, and I've really found them to be very valuable. First, though, you have to do your research, and you've heard this from our other panelists, so you want to find those missions that would be worthwhile for you to join. The Canadian Trade Commissioner Service, which Lisa talked about, is certainly a good place to start. OIT, Women in Trade, periodically organizes trade missions for women. There's actually one coming up this November going to Monterrey, Mexico. So that's something else you could get in, check out. And then in order to get the most out of a trade mission, you have to come prepared because it's a big time investment, and you want to make sure you get a return on your investment. So that means doing your homework. I mean, trade missions typically offer, B2B meetings. Those are one-on-one meetings with other companies that you'd like to do business with. So you want to learn everything you can about them before you go, understand the culture, their needs, how they buy, and help them to research you too. So make sure your own website is up to date with, clear offerings and correct contact information. Now, you may have heard that saying that you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So good prep will help you make an impact, but you want to be memorable too. So hone your elevator pitch before you go. I mean, it amazes me how sometimes it takes people way too long to describe what they do. So try to hone it down to like a 20-second description of what you do and how you do it, to use at those one-on-one meetings or at the related trade shows, because trade missions are often held in conjunction with conferences and trade shows, and also to use at networking events. So before honing your pitch, think about like, what is your mission, what is your passion, what is it you want potential clients or partners to remember about your business. And of course, you want to prepare in advance, any materials that you're going to take, your business cards, your electronic, presentations, maybe even like a one-page capability statement that will include your core competencies, your competitive advantage, and, your contact information. Now, during the mission, I mean, research and prep are important, but that will only bring you so far. Business is based on creating and maintaining relationships. So I find that one of the greatest values of participating in a mission is access to those potentially key contacts that you'll meet while you're there. You never know who you'll meet or what opportunities may arise. So, push yourself out of your comfort zone. If you're traveling with other people separate. Don't sit together at events. Take a little bit of a risk. Be sure to attend any related receptions. Oftentimes the missions that Global Affairs Canada and the Trade Commissioner Service are involved in, they often host receptions, and these receptions have high-level people from the business community in those countries and government representatives, so you can make many quality contacts. And of course, a side benefit of trade missions is meeting other participants with whom you may also be able to do business with down the road. So that's a great part of it too. And after the mission, you want to follow up. And this is where so many of us fall down despite our best intentions. So be sure that you have a follow-up plan and send whatever it is that you promised to people that you've met or are in your meetings. And then lastly, I want to talk about this investing in the relationships. You want to continue to keep in touch after you've followed up. A good way to do that is, pass on any information that may be valuable to people in their business, because I know you all have expertise out there. So that's a really good way to reinforce the relationship and keep your company top of mind. So remember that you have to give to get. And last but not least, be patient. I mean, it can take some time before your initial decision to go international or export and getting that first signed contract. So have perseverance and patience. Many cultures want to build personal relationships with the people with whom they do business, and that is really the very fun part of doing business internationally. So really, just in conclusion, I feel that there's really literally a world of opportunity that awaits you in the global marketplace, and it's something that too few Canadian small businesses are pursuing. But if you do your homework and you tap into these many resources that you heard about from all of us, I think you'll be ready to take the leap. And as I said before, you may have already become an exporter just because somebody contacted you on your website. So it can be easier than you think, and the rewards reaped can be well worth it. Not only expanding your sales and your bottom line, but as I said, developing those meaningful new business relationships in different cultures.
Thank you very much, Susan. That was really interesting, and I think this is really key that we need to understand the value of attending international conferences, the value of building those relationships, because really that is what it's all about. It's about building relationships. You can really grow your business if you think about some of the key points that Susan shared with us. All right, so now we have Jonathan. Jonathan's going to share with us some of the key tips on how to get those leads. How do we get those companies to know about us? How do we get those companies to be aware of us? And most importantly, how do we get those companies to buy from us? So Jonathan, share with us some of your knowledge and experience on generating leads on the international market.
Thanks so much, Andrew, and thanks to the other presenters. It's great to be with you today. So we're going to take a look at LinkedIn Marketing Solutions, Google AdWords, and Facebook as 3 examples of ways that we can drive overseas demand with paid digital ads. Just a quick note that you can download these slides at strategycube.com/magnet, and they're also getting sent to you afterwards. So you don't need to take too many notes, but that'll make sure you get everything you need. I hear several business owners have said to me over the years, you know, I don't need to advertise. I've got such a great product. As I talk to them, my response is often as follows. First of all, prospective buyers can't buy something they're not aware of. You really do need awareness. You also need brand trust in addition to awareness. And brand trust really develops over time. The data out there says it can be anywhere from 5 to 25 or 30 touch points depending on the industry. And at each touch point, a little more trust is built as long as you don't let them down. The sales process really only advances when the right person gets the right message at the right time and in the right way. And so having a great product just isn't enough if that buyer that you'd love to buy you in Germany never knows about you. This is a slide that shows the auto industry, and it was put together with data from Google, Millward Brown, and Polk. It's a couple years old, the data. It's quite a complex purchase cycle for a consumer to buy a car these days. We may not have realized how complicated it was until we look at something like this. 24 different touch points, mixture of desktop, mobile, out of home, word of mouth. The interesting thing is 19 of the touch points are digital. Now you may say, well, my industry is not as complicated as that. Well, that might be true. But what I think many of us are learning as we navigate this world is that it's more complicated than we thought. And that buyers now through the internet have the ability to ask questions and get answers and encounter our brands and our businesses in so many different ways. And we really need to be present at many points along that journey. One of the most exciting things about these digital ad mediums is that you can go from selling only in your region to selling to any country in the world, and it's as simple as typing the names of the locations into the field. You can generally target anywhere from very large global regions, like saying all of Europe or all of South America, all the way down to cities and sometimes even postal codes and zip codes. So you get tremendous power with the geographic targeting that's available to us today. One way digital marketers divide the various kinds of digital media available is into search and discovery, because they work a little differently. In search-based marketing, the prospect is looking for something. So a consumer who goes into Google and types in a specific search is doing what we would call search-based. And Google AdWords, which recently, just last week, got renamed to Google Ads, is the primary way that marketers in Canada would serve ads to those people. Bing would be a secondary option. Discovery-based marketing is the term that we use for people who are not specifically looking for something. They're browsing. And it's a bit more like window shopping versus the above example. You know, mom needs to buy a pair of shoes for her son for school, so she's on a mission to just go get those shoes and come back. In the second example, this is a person who doesn't really need anything per se, but they find themselves in an attractive mall and they're enjoying looking through the windows. In that mode of discovery, from a business perspective, our best two options are LinkedIn Marketing Solutions and Facebook ads, but they behave a little differently. In the first one, there's very, very clear intent, but in the second one, you are basing your targeting not on what they are looking for, but on who they are and where they might be. And so it requires a little bit different thinking. Our first case study is a Canadian market research firm. They wanted to target senior research executives at select U.S. packaged goods firms and retailers. They gave us a list of all of them, and the first thing we did was to create a good, compelling free offer. So this client is an expert in behavioral science. Their target are insights professionals at large U.S. CPG companies, and we put together a 43-page guide, and we had a graphic designer clean it up and design all the pages. And that became our central and first offer. We then created a landing page outlining what you would get with some graphics and a form for them to download. And then we created the ad, which was very simply a LinkedIn post with a graphic. We then paid using the LinkedIn Marketing Services platform to show that ad to this target. It was a group of 900 people that we selected. We said United States. I've blurred out the names of all the companies just from a confidentiality perspective, but if you take a look at some of the titles, we're able to target down to a title level and say, I want market research managers, insights managers, director of market research. And so once the algorithm had finished doing its calculations, there were about 900 people we were targeting. We then paid to have the ads shown. People clicked on the ads, went through to the landing page, and the leads came into our system. And as you look down the title column, you'll see that they did attract the kind of prospect that our client was looking for: senior manager of insights, research manager, insights director, research director. So the client was very happy with the degree of targeting that they were getting and their ability to generate leads right into their CRM system so that their salespeople could follow up directly. In our case study number 2, this is a Canadian medical illustration and 3D animation company based in Toronto. They wanted to target senior marketing executives at pharma companies in the US and the UK. The case study example we'll show is the UK, and we ran Google AdWords in the UK to reach those searching for the client's keywords. So this is an illustration showing a prospect in London, England, typing scientific 3D animation and what they would have seen. They would have seen a map of London with a couple of the examples, and our paid ad is appearing at the top, AXS Scientific Animation. We then had them come through to a landing page where we wanted them to click on Send Me an Estimate, which was a simple form, and we were able to send the leads from that form directly into their Salesforce for their salespeople to begin phoning and connecting with people in the UK. The last section I have for you is just where to start. So I've given you 2 examples, one being the LinkedIn example and the second being a Google AdWords example, but some people have said to me, where do I start in the maze of various digital options? And I would say if you're not using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, either you or your chief salespeople, you really should be. It's less than $150 a month. It's in the range of $80 to $130 depending on what options you take, and it gives you such sophisticated tools for reaching out to prospects. It lets you target by company, by experience, by education, by interests and identity. I mean, this is all the rich data that LinkedIn has, and if you may remember that 10 years ago, you could actually target based on some of this information. But what LinkedIn's been doing in order to monetize its platform is it's been pulling more and more of these filters out from the free view so that you can't use them anymore. But if you're on the paid view, they're available to you. So you can hop in and say, I want people who have a certain keyword in this geography that are in this function. They are, they have a title or a seniority level of this, and I want companies with at least 100 people, right? Very sophisticated multivariable targeting. That then can be used to make lists that you save in Sales Navigator and begin to prospect against. You can also, and this gives you an example of a list that I had made, You save those, you can save your searches, so you can come back to them later, and you can also have LinkedIn notify you about, for example, people who change jobs on your various lists, people who post on LinkedIn on your various lists, and that can be a very useful way to see some activity that's occurring with one of the people that you're prospecting to and then reach out to them based on that. One of my favorite things that so many people don't know about is account level targeting. If you have a list of accounts you want to go after in a specific geography, you can upload them to LinkedIn and it will target your ad to those companies. It's a fabulous tool. LinkedIn also offers built-in lead generation forms. Where this is useful is instead of sending people to your website, where most people's websites are not mobile optimized, and they actually users can experience a 5 to 10 second lag, which they often then just bail from. You can keep them right in LinkedIn. The LinkedIn pre-fills in the most of the information that they need, and all the user does is click a button at the end, and you get sent that information straight into your CRM system. So you don't even need to involve your web developer to get this kind of functionality. The last thing is sponsored InMail. This is when you want to email somebody that you found on LinkedIn, and they're not a connection, and you have to pay to reach them. It's about $10 per InMail. So if you do some quick math, if you emailed 10 people, you'd have paid $100, and if one of those converted, your cost of acquisition would be $100 for a new lead. So, that's a pretty low number, to be honest. I see numbers much higher than that, depending on the industry.
Okay, so now we have Devon Franklin. She's going to be sharing with us a little bit about the Magnet Export Business Portal, and then remember, we'll have the opportunity to answer questions. So take it away, Devon.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you to all the previous speakers. You all spoke to really the quintessential information that I think is important to all service-based businesses, whether you're just starting out or whether you're already currently exporting and looking to really grow and scale. And much of what Carissa and Lisa spoke to is really about what the Magnet Export Business Portal is trying to address. There are fabulous resources and services, a lot of which are free to businesses that are out there and available. And if you are a business, especially a small business, maybe you're a team of 2 or 3 up to 10, trying to designate a single person to research and do the research needed to really understand where your markets are, to really understand where those services, programs, tools, resources are is a very daunting task. And that's what the Magnet Export Business Portal was really developed to address. So working with primary content providers from the Government of Ontario, working with EDC and BDC as well as Global Affairs Canada, it was really coming together on one portal to say, how do we target to businesses to be able to access these great resources each of those organizations offer and allow it in a streamlined way for the business so that they're not overwhelmed with multiple different offerings, some of which they're not eligible for. So the export portal is really developed to streamline the communication of resources to the business owner so that they really know what they're eligible for, what services are out there, and how they can apply to them. Let's go to my next slide. So it's really about leveraging opportunities from these key content providers. So these are kind of the top tier level providers in the export and international trade space. And so it's understanding what the different offerings are and how they apply to your business. We set it up so that businesses aren't left to their own to navigate, complex landing pages, trying to understand what they're eligible for, how this applies to their business. Instead, we change the way communication is. So a business answers one time 7 questions about their business, and they're set up with receiving email notifications straight to their inbox about the opportunities that they're eligible for. So from one platform, you're receiving opportunities from the Government of Ontario, from EDC, from BDC, from Global Affairs Canada, which all takes you back to their landing page, their website, but to the appropriate page on their website based on that opportunity. So it's really easy. You go to export.magnet.today, simple to remember. You hit I'm a new user, and you're thrown into the onboarding questions. So after you confirm your email address at this first level, you'll get an email from us to say confirm your account. And when you hit that confirmation, you're taken into the rest of the onboarding questions. And so the onboarding questions really ask you basic information about your business, but this is all information that becomes really important, especially when you're looking at funding programs or you're looking at trade missions. when you're looking at some of those services that were mentioned in the webinar today. So we ask you what your industry is, the market served, the number of employees, and your founding year, and that one becomes really important for certain funding opportunities. When you're taken into step 2, you're asked a bit more specifics about your exporting. So are you currently exporting? If you hit no, all we ask you after that is your total sales revenue range and the markets of interest if you know them. If you hit yes, then you're asked a few additional questions. So you're asked for the percentage of your revenue that's related to exporting, the number of years you've been exporting, where you're currently exporting to, and where you're interested in exporting to. All of this information is private and confidential. It's all data that we own in-house, and even though we are partnered with our core content providers, it's not shared with them. This is private information that's kept confidential. I know that's really important to business providers. And so it's really important is that by answering those questions, that simple onboarding question, you're set up for success ongoing. So we update the system daily with different content, with different information that's coming through from our primary content providers, and that sets you up for success to be receiving those notifications. A lot of times, similar to what Carissa had mentioned from the beginning, our service-based businesses don't see themselves as exporters, or if they see that in the name of the platform, you know, it's called the Magnet Export portal, they think immediately that that's not for me, that I'm either not currently exporting, or because I'm a service provider that disqualifies me. And so I really want to explicitly state that this is really a platform for any type of business that is just looking to grow and scale internationally, whether you're currently exporting or not currently exporting. There's something on the platform for everyone, and you're really just setting yourself up for success to start receiving that information. And so once, like I said, once you've completed that sign-in process, it's a one-time sign-in to set up those email notifications. So I hope everyone will join. Again, it's export.magnet.today, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. All of the information from all of our speakers will be provided in a follow-up email for all the registrants, so no need to jot everything down.
The nice thing about this platform is that it sends you an email tailored specifically for your needs, so it's really key. All right, so what we're going to be doing now is we're going to go through a bunch of questions. There's a bunch of questions out there from some of you, so we're going to be going through that. And just remember, if you've got any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat column, and then I'll ask the presenters one at a time. And let's start off with Carissa. As a small business owner, Carissa, what happens, when's the right stage to contact the EDC? Should we be doing it in the planning stages, or should we be doing it just as we're ready to export?
Okay, thanks for the question, Andrew. So as long as you're a Canadian business, so a Canadian entity, it could be a sole proprietorship, but some kind of Canadian entity with a business number, and let's say you're at the earlier stage and you're looking to get started, and you want to get an information package on maybe everything on the Chinese market for your software as a service solution. Well, you can connect with us, and our export help team will provide you that information package. Now, let's say you've set up a shop already in Canada, you've had some sales in Canada, and you want to actually delve into a particular export market, and you want to develop an export plan. So maybe you're at the later stage now, you're targeting China, but you still need to make that plan and get the staff and get set up. So we have referrals to the Trade Accelerator program, the TAP program I mentioned earlier. So we can refer you over to that program, and that's a 4-day workshop where you'll be connected with EDC, Trade Commissioner Service, RBC, and other partners to help you over 4 days to develop a solid export plan. Now, let's say you delve into the market, you've got your first PO, your first contract, sales arrangement with a foreign customer. Now we can talk about our financial products and see if we can help protect your contract against the risk of non-payment. Or let's say you need to access some additional working capital, we can explore the options there to help you with those transactions.
Really interesting. So really you can take advantage of the EDC as you grow your business. And I encourage you to do your research as soon as possible. I think that is really the key thing is, you know, you don't want to be going to look for the services when you need them. You need to be looking for that in advance, at least educate yourself on what services are available through EDC. So thank you very much for that. Really interesting. I've got a question now for Lisa. You know, Lisa, you mentioned earlier on that, you know, they've got special programs for diversity, and the Canadian government is targeting female business owners.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, we have run two Women in Business North America summits that had their roots started in Atlanta, but it is really about connecting women-led businesses, certified and uncertified, across 3 countries and 2 borders. And the objective is to build a North American network that women can leverage. A couple of speakers today had mentioned the importance of networking, and I cannot emphasize it enough. No meeting is a lost opportunity. No introduction is a lost introduction. Everybody you meet becomes important to your business. And so the larger your network and the more you take advantage to build it, the better opportunities you will have for success. So we are going to be running a few programs over the next 6 months that will be targeted to the different aspects of women in business, in particular targeting women in business. We're going to be looking at exporting. The second summit that we did in Atlanta, we had about 250 participants, and we said to the participants, who here in the room is an exporter? 2 people raised their hand. And then we said, who here has international clients? And 3/4 of the room raised their hand. And to the point of our other panelists, you may not realize you already are an exporter. So the different programs that we're working on will deal with finance. They're going to deal with exporting, how to access supply chains, whether you're certified or not certified, and then they will end in a one-day event, which will be a B2B opportunity with, we are hoping, 100+ companies, and a dinner called Small Plates, Big Business. So stay tuned. I would also suggest for our women-led businesses that you take advantage of the Business Women in International Trade LinkedIn page and opportunities to follow the different programs that they have going on. You can again find them at www.tradecommissioner.gc.ca. Also, you'll see more about how we're working with Indigenous, Aboriginal, and minority companies. Thank you, Andrew.
Wonderful. So, Lisa, there will be information about these events for women-owned businesses in the future?
Absolutely. There's ongoing updates. They keep it very current. BWIT is a very busy program, and they have a great network that you can tap into as a women-led business.
So I also encourage, thank you very much, Lisa. I also encourage everybody to check the Magnet Export Business Portal, because as these events come up, we will have them listed on there. So sign up for export.magnet.today, and then you have access to all this information in one email. So Susan, I've got a question for you, a really simple question, but I think a really important one. As a small business owner, what made you even think of exporting your services? I mean, what was this sudden inspiration to start selling your services internationally?
Well, there was a couple of things, Andrew. One is that there was a first Canadian a businesswoman's trade mission to Washington back in 1999. And as a result of that, women were looking for made a lot of good contacts in the U.S. and were looking for an ongoing opportunity to stay connected in terms of trade. So that's how OWIT sort of started, and how I really got involved in developing my network and meeting people who became, some future clients. That needed writing services, content services in other countries. And also, I had a client here who had a business, who was part of a business in the Caribbean, and they needed marketing help. And, so it was just sort of happenstance that I got involved in those things, and, but then proactively pursued getting it through those various kind of strategies that I shared with everybody earlier.
And I think the key thing here is attending these international events. So I encourage all of you. Lisa spoke about a couple of events. Susan's mentioning them again. And, if you sign up to the Magnet portal, you'll get information about this. And it's really about a mindset. You can sell your products or services anywhere in the world. And people love Canadians, so sell your services. So thank you very much for that, Susan. I've got a question here for Jonathan. Jonathan, you mentioned the Sales Navigator and how to use it. Would you recommend business owners outsource that, or should they do it themselves? Because one of the things that I think you made it sound really simple, but I think what happens often with small business owners is we are so busy, we don't always have the opportunity to create that. Do you recommend we outsource that? And if so, what should we be expecting? What should our budget be? Just give us an idea.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think if you have a primary salesperson working for you, then that should be their responsibility. If you don't, and you're the primary salesperson, then I think you want it to be yours. The challenge with passing it off to, for example, someone who's very junior and hoping that they'll just do the administrative part is, they're using your profile. So when the tool allows you to post information and to communicate back and forth with people, and I think you really want to be controlling that yourself. If you're reaching out to senior stakeholders at prospect companies, they'll be expecting that quite a senior person on your end is. Many of us do the same thing. If somebody reaches out to us on LinkedIn and we can tell that they're a very, very junior person who's kind of doing lead generation, I think maybe I'm just speaking for myself, and my tendency to say yes to those kind of requests is very low. I don't need more of those kind of people bombarding me. But if somebody who I can clearly tell is the president of a pretty legitimate company pops up wanting to connect with me, and I take a look and I'm impressed with what I see, well, I'm probably going to say yes to that. So you need to factor those kind of things in mind. There are parts of the whole process that you might be able to outsource, but the specific aspect of looking for prospects, making the lists, reaching out to them, to me has to sit with the business owner or their most senior salespeople.
Really useful information. Thank you very much for that, Jonathan. I found it very interesting and really simple the way you explained it. So give us a couple of final words, Devon, about the platform, about some of the benefits of the platform, and why we should all sign up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one piece that I forgot to mention is that it's free. So it's completely free for businesses to sign up, regardless of your size, regardless of your export readiness. And signing up today, it's free. It takes 2 minutes to sign up. And again, it just sets you up for success. And to the point of some of the content that Lisa, we have a great relationship with BWIT and the other trade commissioner groups that have really niche and specific trade missions that are such a great way to jumpstart your exporting potential of your business. And so the export portal is just another way to receive notifications of those that you're eligible for.
Thank you very much. Excellent presentation today, everybody. Thank you very much, Devon, for sharing us with some of us your knowledge about the export portal. It's a great resource for small business owners. I encourage all of you to sign up and join it today. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for sharing with us your expertise on how to generate leads. It's wonderful and easy to understand. Carissa, thanks for sharing with us about EDC and how they can help us grow our business. I think it was really, really useful. Lisa, thanks for sharing with us some of the great resources available for small business owners. And I encourage you to check out your trade commissioners. That's their job. They're really good at it, and they can help you grow your business internationally. And they're across the world, so why not do that? And Susan, for inspiring us with your story about how you've exported your service internationally. So the thing that I got out of that, even small business owners, it's really a mindset. Go to those trade shows, go to those conferences, and start building relationships, and that's how we grow our business. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. I encourage you to use this information and help build and grow your business. It's a great opportunity, and sign up for export.magnet.today and start getting information about how to grow your business. So thank you very much for the presenters, and thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this afternoon. Thank you.